Your name whispers a promise, and not a title to achieve, but a covenant already written into your being. Today, I will not hand you a rose, because I believe one has already been blooming within your heart. Your rose carries a fragrance that's older than memory, and not just the fragrance of woman, but of the divine feminine. The sacred attributes breathed into humanity from the very beginning. But some way and somewhere along the journey, life convinced us that parts of ourselves had to be forgotten. So together, we will uncover it. But before I ever wrote this letter to Eve, I was told, go tell Elizabeth. And at first, I believed that the message was meant for one woman. But as the journey unfolded, I realized that Elizabeth was something bigger, something greater. She became every soul awakening to the divine feminine. And with every truth remembered, I will release a single petal, because the garden remembers, even when the world forgets. So this letter is for her. This letter is for you. But before Eve remembers the garden, Elizabeth, she teaches us that remembrance begins with the promise received. One woman carried the promise, and another remembers the beginning, and together they tell the story of restoration. And for Eve's sake, Genesis tells us that humanity was created in the image of God, male and female, bearing one divine likeness, not rivals, not opposites, but two expressions of one beautiful design. And then came the garden, and with it, the experience of separation. And not only separation from God, but separation within ourselves. What was created to live in harmony, it became divided. Yet the story of Eden was never meant to end in exile. Every step towards love, every act of compassion, every moment of truth, every choice towards healing, every return to grace. It's another step back towards the garden. And it's not a place outside of us, but a place that is awakened within us. It's a return to our wholeness. Glory be to God. Where strength and tenderness are embraced. Where wisdom walks beside compassion. Where action learns to listen. Where structure, it honors beauty. And where the soul remembers what is already been given. And exactly what it's always been. You are love and consciousness. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering exactly who you are. See, the garden was never forgotten. So, I lay these rose petals before you to spark a bloom in what has already been blooming within. And the first petal, it's nurturing. It's the quiet strength that tends life before it's ever seen. It protects what is fragile. It creates this safe space for hearts, for dreams, and for souls to grow. It does not seek recognition. It simply loves enough to nurture. In our second rose petal, compassion. She sits beside another's sorrow without trying to control it. She sees the wounds without any judgment. And she offers mercy before blame and grace before any accusation. See, compassion, that doesn't make us weak. It reveals the strength of a heart that refuses to stop loving. And our third rose petal, intuition. A knowing that arrives before words, the quiet whisper beneath the noise, the wisdom that recognizes truth before the mind can explain it. See, she listens, and more than with her ears. She listens with the soul. And our fourth rose petal, receptivity. See, the world teaches constant striving, but the garden, it teaches receiving wisdom, receiving love, receiving truth, and receiving the presence of God without needing to earn what has already and always been freely given. Sometimes the deepest strength is simply just remaining open. Our fifth rose petal, creativity. The Creator formed us in His image. To create is to reflect Him. And every act of beauty, every story, every song, every act of healing, every dream carried into reality, they're all echoes of the divine artist breathing through His children. And our sixth rose petal, wisdom. And that's not just knowledge. See, wisdom waits before reacting. She sees patterns beneath appearances. It's not on her, baby. It's in her. She understands that every season carries purpose, even the hidden ones. And she remembers exactly what suffering tries to make us forget. Be wise as a serpent, Eve. And our seventh rose petal, gentleness. Please don't mistake that for weakness. But strength that has learned restraint. A power that's wrapped in kindness. And it has an ability to hold another soul with tenderness. Even when life has been everything but gentle to you. and our 8th rose petal. Patience. Oh, I'll take a little patient kiss. The garden never rushes its blooms. No. You'll see that roots, they grow long before the flower will appear. And patience, it does trust exactly what cannot be seen. See, patience, she honors every season, and she believes that what is planted in love will bloom in divine time. I love patience. And our 9th rose petal. Healing. And for the sake of it, we're gonna healing. Yes. See, healing, it doesn't erase the story. It redeems it. And she gathers broken places in gentle hands. Healing restores what shame tries to hide. Healing reconciles with love exactly what fear divided. She reminds us that scars can become sacred testimony. Healing. And our 10th rose petal. Emotional intelligence. That's the courage to know your own heart. The humility to honor the heart of another. She gives language to feelings that have long remained hidden. And she chooses understanding over reaction. See, true presence is not needed if you're performing. True presence is the performance. And truth spoken in love rather than silence, that's born from fear. That's emotional intelligence. And using it wisely. And our 11th rose petal. Responsibility with care. Everything beautiful requires tending our relationships, our dreams, our communities, our families, even creation itself. The garden is never sustained by having possession, only by faithful care. And see, responsibility, it reminds us that what has been entrusted to us, it's meant to flourish because we loved it well. Just like being God's child. He loves us well. And He entrusted us with God's love. And for our final rose petal, this one. I'm gonna do 2. Collaboration. See, every garden flourishes because nothing grows alone. Every flower depends upon the unseen. The soil, the rain, the sunlight, the roots beneath the surface. We were created for partnership. Rather than domination. Whew, my God. A unity rather than competition. A mutual love rather than fear. An honor rather than comparison. And every petal that once was made and that once made the rose, some were bruised, some hidden, yet every one belonged. And though the petals now rest upon this cup, a rose is still a rose. And my love, you're still a flower. Nothing life has taken from you, nothing you've buried, nothing you've lost has changed what God first called beautiful. You were never waiting to become a rose. You've always been one. And this is the beginning of remembering. And when we speak of the divine feminine, I'm not speaking only of women. Hear me closely. I'm not speaking only of women. I'm speaking of qualities, gifts that were breathed into humanity itself. Compassion, wisdom, intuition, nurturing, creativity, receptivity, healing, patience, gentleness, emotional intelligence. These are qualities. They belong neither to women nor men alone. These are gifts from God, entrusted to humanity so that we might, just maybe, reflect His image more fully. The rose is not a symbol of female superiority. No, it's a symbol of restoration. A reminder that what has been neglected must once again be honored, and not for one to rise above the other. Let's make that clear. Unity. But for what has been divided may become whole again. So tomorrow, we turn our hearts towards another part of the garden. A kiss from a rose to our divine masculine. We have not forgotten you, because the garden was never meant to bloom with only one kind of flower. And if these words have found you at the right moment, there are quiet reflections waiting throughout the week on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, TikTok. And whether you choose to continue the journey, I just want you to know I'm grateful that you're here. With love, Meredith.